Welcome to another episode of Overtime, the podcast that comes to you straight after the midweek charge. Interviews, recaps, and so much more with your host, Scott Talley.
Welcome to Overtime Podcast with Pastor Scott here in CATC. Students, last night, a great night as we had the opportunity to really worship as we dove into week 2 of Known. It was a week that we were really excited about here in CATC. Students, we had a chance to really dive deeper and to really look into what God wanted to say to us. And so really, Joe laid us out, worship last night, and then from there, God just took us to just a phenomenal level of just allowing us to dive deeper into a subject in which I really believe is pivotal for you as a teenager or if you're a parent watching this for your student. Here's the topic from last night. God knows me, right? God knows me. So that is so vital when we realize that God knows us, right? It's not the point of hey, does God know me? But it's the idea of God knows me. He actually knows me. God knows me. And so what happens when God knows us? God searches us, right? We have that salvation experience. We have that moment of hey, I've gone from death to life, right? I've gone from death to life. And so, Jesus has removed my sins. I recognize I'm a sinner. He's forgiven me of my sins. He's helped me to go from death to life. And so, that was something we saw last night as students were really starting to understand that concept that, hey, I'm going from death to life. I'm living new in Jesus Christ. And so what a great idea. What a great thought we had as we dove into that last night. But we were in Psalm 139 and 1 through 3 and then 23 to 24. And I want to just lay this out there that this series of Known came into existence because of one moment that came into our lives, and it was COVID-19, the pandemic, whatever we want to call it. I know early on we didn't want to call it a pandemic because we were only 2 weeks in, and it's not really a pandemic, but look at it now, it was a pandemic. It really, what it has done to to teenagers, what it's done to our culture, our society. But the reality is that during that moment, I had time as I was sitting at home. I had a 2-3 week old baby in my arms. God put this idea, this word in my life. It was the word known, right? And I wanted our student ministry in the beginning of January of 2021 to deal with the series Known. I want them to realize that they're known by God. I want them to know for a fact that they know God. They have a relationship with Him. And so it led to last night's just moment of when we really dove into Psalm 139. We laid this idea out there that there's no thought, there's no action that's hidden from God. There's nothing at all that is hidden from God. God knows everything about us. And so because He knows everything about us, and He knows every thought and every action before we even put it into existence, God knows us. He knows our every thought. He knows everything about us. And so because of that, He's a ruler over our lives. He's in control of everything. So we must be putting things in our lives that really help us to live more for Him and less for ourselves. We have to say, God, you guys search me. God, you guys see if there's anything in me, which leads us from Psalm 139, 1 to 3 and 2, 23 to 24 of the same chapter. And here's why. In the 23rd and 24 verses, what we read is this, is God search me. God search me. God search my heart. God search my thoughts, search my mind. Lord, see if there's any grievous action or grievous way in me. And if so, then take that out of my life and lead me to righteousness. That's what's being said there. And so in Psalm 139, verse 23, God search me. God search me. I pray, God, that you know my heart, you know my thoughts, and is there anything in me at all that is not of you? Right? And then when which God will reveal that to you, when He does, then it's the God restore me, right? God restore me. God build me back up. God, lead me, right? Help me to walk in your path. Just help me to go after you with all that I have. And then, God, help me to form spiritual disciplines, right? That's, as you restore me, help me build spiritual disciplines. And then the third one was this: God, lead me. God, lead me, lead me, lead me. Help me to become kingdom focused. Help me to live for you. Help me to live for you and not for my own ways. And so last night, week 2, here's what we talked about. We talked about all these different concepts of God searching us, right? And the thought of God searching us, man, it can sometimes be super scary to talk about, right? Of God, hey, I want you to search me. I want you to search my heart. I want you to search my mind. I want you to search, man, every part of my life. God, is there anything in me at all that's not of you? Well, we want you as a student or as a parent, we want you all in for Jesus. We don't want you holding anything back at all. We want you all in. And so for that to happen, man, there's some things that we got to remove out of our lives. I shared a funny story last night of just my own life. You know, it's a new year, new me. You know how we always hear those different things, but here's some of the reality behind that is that I got frustrated recently because, you want to eat healthy in the new year, right? You want to be healthier because that's the plan. So as I am doing that, as I'm processing of, hey, what food should I eat and not eat? And I love potato chips. Oh, man, they're so good, aren't they? So I love potato chips. But here's the thing. As I was looking at potato chips and trying to find the best ones, the lightly salted or the kettled or whatever it is, I saw some lightly salted ones that said 0 trans fat on it. Boy, oh boy, was I excited. Why? Because it has 0 trans fat. You don't want trans fat because that's what leads to heart attacks and heart conditions and heart issues. And so I don't want trans fat at all. So 0 trans fat in my potato chips, yes, sign me up, right? Well, in my discovery, here's what I learned. The reality in that 0 trans fat potato chip is this. Yes, they can claim 0 trans fat, but they put in trans fat into your potato chip to still make it. Okay, so it's still there. They just put in a little of this, a little of that, and it adds up to be 0.99999, whatever it is, the exact number. But they put it in so they can say, oh, it's 0% of trans fat. When the reality is, and I know that is trans fat that is in that potato chip. All right, so why would I share that with you? Because I'm not being silly. Here's the real reason. Because I think the same thing happens in our lives of we can put a little of this in there, a little of that. I'm not really sinning. I'm not really going in the worldly ways. God search me, but we got to realize I'm not going all in on this stuff. I'm just checking it out. But the reality is that anytime we open the door for ourselves to be put in situations where it causes us to get very close to the line of sin, or God, I'll do this, or God, I'm going to stay here. And the moment we start to do that kind of stuff, it causes us to not go all in for Jesus. And so here's what I want to challenge you with is that I want to challenge you to put these 3 points to your life. God search me, God restore me, and God lead me. Okay, I want you to ask God completely before this day ends. I want you to ask Jesus. Jesus, is there anything in me at all that is not helping me live for you? And Jesus, whatever that is, help me to remove it. It's not enough just to pray that. We actually have to apply that to our lives, right? We actually have to stop doing those things that God reveals to us. Why? Because we can't grow deeper and become all that Jesus has called us to be if all we're doing is holding on to things that keep us from walking fully for Him. And so, man, last night, great conversations of us trying to figure out how we go all in. But let me just say, God knows you, or God wants to know you. If you don't know Him, I would love for you to come and have a relationship with Him. I'd love for you to talk to me about that. And I'd love for you to have a relationship with Him. But when God knows you, He makes you become more like Him and less like the world. And students, parents, that's what we want, right? We want our students to live more like Jesus and less like the world. We want them to look more like him and less like the world also. So, hey, this is the Overtime Podcast with Pastor Scott. Thank you for checking us out today. And, hey, we can't wait to see you here on Sunday. Just a reminder before I wrap this thing up. Hey, today's podcast is a reminder of D Now that's happening on February 13th. One day only, D Now. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be at First Baptist Orlando. Cost us $50. What? $50 one day? What are you talking about, Scott? Hey, here's why. Food is included. The whole day is just special for you. I put in here, hey, what's all included and what's the schedule? It's all in here. And this QR code is how you can sign up, scan, and sign in to sign up for this event. But your food's included. It's a breakfast bag, lunch, snacks, and bottles of water. Your T-shirt's included. And there's worship and message in the concert. So, hey, it's going to be a great day. We would love for you to come out for that. And then the next day, we're having a dear friend of mine, Algernon Tennyson, come and preach. And I would love for you to come and hear what he is going to say to us. So, hey, have a great week, and we look forward to seeing how God is going to move in your life this week. All right, talk to you soon, students. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Overtime. Join us again next Thursday. This has been a production of CATC students in Orlando, Florida.